Hey, alright. Let's talk some hockey. Stanley Cup playoff time. Still. Anyway, Stanley Cup final, game 4. Starting early today. Alright. Florida, Edmonton, June 15th, 2024. For historical reference. We all, I think, know Florida leads this series 3-0. Very much an elimination game for Edmonton. Stanley Cup is in the building. So, let's see what happens. First period. 18:07 remaining in the period. Like 2 minutes in. Not a goal. Just, I had plans for other notes for this game. And you'll see where they come and play and why. Anyway. 18:07. It's a nasty knee-on-knee hit between Darnell Nurse and Bennett, Florida. It looked pretty bad. Bennett didn't get the help off the ice, but he couldn't put any weight on that leg. I need to go back to the dressing room. Refs announced as a 5-minute major that was going to be under review. After review, actually ends up being only a 2-minute tripping call. So, I would say Edmonton gets lucky there, all things considered, because Bennett did go off to the dressing room immediately. He would return later in the game, so it wasn't that bad. As far as we know. This is a Stanley Cup final. People will play through who knows what injury, who knows what's going on with Evander Kane. I'm sure he must be near death if he's not played. He has 2 games he hasn't played. He's been a scratching. I know he's got that sports hernia. I don't know how you played through that. So I don't know how he played the previous 3 games in this, or previous 2 games in the series to start with. But hey, anyway, I'm gonna try not to get off on tangents. We're in for a long one here. That's why I'm talking a little fast. I apologize. Bring that down a bit. Alright. Anyway, I wrote this down because, as a result, Florida ends up on a 2-minute power play. And I was tracking penalties and PKs this game because I have a feeling they might be relevant. I've only been saying it. Well, I've been saying it most of the playoffs, but this series especially about special teams. Anyway, hence I made the note of the penalty. And on said Florida power play, 16:49 remaining on the clock on the first, we get a goal on the special teams. See, told you they're very important. However, it's a shorthanded goal for Edmonton from Janmark. Sorry, the J threw me off. I knew it in my notes. That's what happens when you sleep in between writing things and then talking about them. Especially when I did this when I first rolled out of bed. Like 10 minutes ago. Anyway. Yep. Brown goes hard, gets behind Bobrovsky, who gets kind of run into by Montour. And then, Brown just kind of feeds that puck back through the crease to the now empty net because Montour and Bobrovsky are kind of tangled up off to the side. And he just taps it in pretty much. And that's it. And by tapping, I mean actually shot it in off the Florida defenseman who was trying to cover the net for Bobrovsky. Didn't matter. Just boink. And so, yeah. And with that, 1-0 Edmonton. I do want to explain a little bit on this goal. If you didn't see it, it's very much kind of a 2-on-1 situation off the right. Well, there were multiple people involved. Like I said, Brown took it to the net, but ended up intentionally going around Bobrovsky, to the side corner, almost pulls him way out of position, which would be one thing, except that Montour's coming back, trying to take away the passing lane that is there, and sprawls out flat to take up as much of the lane as possible. And in that process, as he's sliding backwards, after he's prone and down to take up as much of the lane as possible, he slides into Bobrovsky. Didn't help. I don't know if that the difference in the goal. It may or may not have, but I know what that feeling is like because I've done it. Not in real life per se, but I've done it in a lot of video game hockey, especially online matches, which tend to be, very or higher skill and closer games because they're somewhat based on skill level matchmaking. So, yeah, I've been there, where you something happens, neutral zone or whatever, and they end up with an odd man rush, and you end up with that 2-on-1, and you're trying to take away that cross crease pass. Trying to time it right, want to take much of the lane, but do it that a little bit too late, and you will slide into your own goaltender, and usually end up being the result of a goal. Yeah, almost guaranteed. One of those things where you want to prevent that cross crease pass, but gotta be real careful about that. Anyway, I don't want to tangent too much. We got a lot to cover here. I just want to talk about that first goal because I've seen it before, so. Anyway, still actually looked kind of pretty. It was interesting. It's one of those where I'm sure, and I am sure, I'll even say it as a neutral party here, and I'm Bobrovsky's fault. And, we ongoing team tonight. Anyway, so, and with 15:48 remaining in the first period, Florida takes another penalty. Too many men on the ice. So, Edmonton goes on their power play. Just lots of zone time. Best chance they had was Draisaitl ringing the post, but that was about it. Nothing there cooking on that power play. Again, remains very quiet this series. Uncharacteristically quiet for Edmonton. Then, 12:12 remaining in the period. We get a goal from Edmonton again from Henrique, and Janmark again involved. This time, just a cross crease pass that Henrique tips in, and I believe Henrique was also had one of the assists on Janmark's previous goal, not the secondary one. Brown had that, but I think, or not the primary one, because Brown had that from going kind of around Bobrovsky and passing it back into the crease. But I think Henrique may not have had an assist, but he was on that line with Janmark. So I don't know if Henrique had a point on that or had a secondary assist in that first goal. He might have, so I'm not sure. Either way, he was probably on the ice because Janmark and Brown did play tonight. And we'll talk about Edmonton's lines later on because they were a bit different tonight, and that may have been a big factor in tonight's game. Anyway, so yeah, this was a true cross crease pass. I don't know if it went through the paint, but it was pretty close. Again, Janmark, just beautiful pass, cross crease, right to Henrique. You just tip in, just stick on the ice, just redirect, tip in. Again, no chance for Bobrovsky on that one. Great pass. So with that, 2-0 Edmonton Oilers. Then with 8 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the first period, Florida responds. Goal from Tarasenko. It's a little snapshot from the point. Some traffic, and Tarasenko gets the redirection from the shaft of his stick. Or this surface area. A lot smaller than the blade. So, gets the deflection off the shaft for a nice little changes the puck from probably maybe potentially wide or high to bouncing, and then it was a nice little bounce deflection. Again, no chance for the goaltender. Been a running theme. But this time it would be on Skinner. So that will make it 2-1 Edmonton. So Florida gets on the board, and we have a game. And we've had a game, but you know what I mean. All right. Don't have a note on time. Okay, I'm not even. Okay. Talking to myself. Sorry, it's very early. Try not to be too rambly. It happens if I record either really early in the morning or really late at night. So there's no good happy middle place. If it's middle of the day, it's hard to get good sound for reasons. Anyway, with 5 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the first period, We've got another goal. So yeah, 4-goal period. This time from Edmonton. Holloway. Just a nice, beautiful pass feed from Draisaitl. And he beats Bobrovsky pretty clean. 3-1 Edmonton. That was the first time that, Bob got beat cleanly, but I still don't put it on him. It was just a great pass from Draisaitl, so. Yeah. A little parched. Again, kind of rolled out of bed into doing this one because I didn't have time to do it last night, so. We're here for a bit. Alrighty. Second page now. That was the end of the first period. I flipped pages in my notebooks because there was still about 5 minutes on the clock when that goal was scored. That was fourth goal of that period total. I was like, okay. Second page. Normally, most of my game coverage takes up about a page in this size notebook. Not this game. Anyway. Second period. Early on. 18:47 left on the clock. So again, first 2 minutes, I have a note. However, this one is an interesting one. Edmonton goal. And if you've been keeping track of the goal scorers in this series, Stanley Cup final, there's a couple of names for Edmonton you have not seen on the board yet. And that changes. McDavid finally gets a goal. I say finally like it's a weird thing. It kind of is. It is weird. It took 4 games. Anyway. Yep. Just off the rush. Beats Bobrovsky. Mid blocker off the post and in. So, nice shot. So it seems like Bob knows they're going to try and shoot high on him. So he'll get, that's covered too. So really, you've got to get those sweet spots that are, above the pad, but below the glove or below the blocker. Or in this case, I think there were a couple that were over the blocker. This one was one of them. That again, we're just sniped from an angle. So, yeah. Anyway, 4-1, Edmonton. And to be honest, this is not my notes, it's just an improv thingy. Even after that first period ended, and the way it was going, when it was 3-1, I was like, well, pretty sure Edmonton's winning this game. And I think that McDavid goal making it 4-1, I was just like, alright. Oh, alright, well. I know it's still early in the second period, but can we call this one now? Because it's sort of what it felt like. Pretty early. Anyway. With 15:01 remains, and a couple minutes later, another goal from Edmonton. This time from Darnell Nurse, another name who has not yet to score a goal in this series. Gets off the snide, as we like to say. This one was a nice drop pass off the rush from McDavid that Nurse wired home. Again, top left, so over the blocker. And with that, it is 5-1 Edmonton. And yeah, at this point, Bobrovsky gets yanked because mercy on him. And Stolarz comes in. So, all right. More special teams fun. With 11:20 remaining on the clock, Florida takes a 2-minute minor. Edmonton power play. Chances, but no dice. And that moves their power play to 0-for-12 in this series, which is nuts for a Stanley Cup final, especially for a power play that had been, I believe, the first 3 rounds somewhere in 34% range. Like, below their average season number, but still decent. Anyway, just a little note, because again, these special teams, man, in this series, whew, All right. And with 8 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the second period, Florida manages to somehow take two separate double minor penalties on the same play. There was a bit of a scuffle, so to speak, after a save, and yeah. Normally, in a case like that, you generally get like offsetting penalties 4-on-4. We saw it happen in Game 3. In this case, though, no. You just get two Florida players in the box, and Edmonton gets a 2-minute 5-on-3 power play. So I remember as that gets called, and they just brought the stat up about them being 0 for 12 in the series, in the final. And in my thought, all I can think in my head, I wasn't even thinking about it being 5-on-3. I'm just like, I was like, all right, 0 for 12. Now I got to keep track of it. Now that I know how big the number is. But in my head, I'm like, lucky number 13, maybe. And yes, 6 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in the second period. Edmonton gets a power play goal. Finally, first one of this series from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins off a Draisaitl snipe. There's a rebound, and it is pretty much just poked in at that point. Because not Bobrovsky, Stolarz, because Bob's out at this point. Stolarz saved 90% of that shot. It's just that remaining 10% ended up back in the crease, and there was Nugent Hopkins waiting for it, just a literal poke check into the net. So, yeah. Interesting note about that, for some fun historical fact, that would be McDavid's second assist on that Nugent Hopkins goal. He's the one who gave it to Draisaitl. It's like secondary. And with that, Connor McDavid ties Wayne Gretzky's record for most assists in a single postseason. I believe it was 32. I think it's 32. Well, 32. 32 is the. It's funny because they showed the graphic on screen when after that goal when McDavid ties Gretzky's all-time leading record with a 32 point. 30 not points. Sorry, Gretzky's single point record is actually well above that. I don't think McDavid's catching it. Not this year. But just for assists. Because it was funny when they showed the graphic. Because it was, Gretzky and now McDavid both tied with 32 at number 1. And then the remainder of the list, which was about 4 or 5 names, also all Wayne Gretzky. And I forgot who it was on the broadcast, at least U.S. broadcast. I can't speak for what all you are watching up there in Sportsnet in Canada. Who knows? I'm assuming they're covering it, or TSN. I think Sportsnet has all the rights now. TSN doesn't have anything anymore, so I'm assuming it's Sportsnet. Anyway, someone made the comment / joke that, if that list, if you drop that list down further, you're going to keep seeing Gretzky's name, because there was a run there for a while. We all know what time period this was, where, that would happen. But, yes, it's for McDavid in his 9th year in the league. That's impressive. Granted, Gretzky, I forget what year that was from. Still, Gretzky consistently put up high 20s, low 30s, and that was assists again. They didn't bring up I was waiting for after. Okay, now they're tied or whatever. Now you can start bringing up the actual point race, like point totals for a single postseason. They didn't bring it up, which makes me think it's not even close. Not even within range for McDavid to hit it. Because I never saw that graphic come up. I never looked it up either. I should, though. They did make a comment that postseason scoring, like points or just assists, it is number 1 Gretzky, number 2 Lemieux, number 3 now Connor McDavid. all time, which is insane considering he's only his 9th year in the league. And I think there's been years in there where he didn't make the playoffs, so I think. Yeah, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, back to actual hockey stuff. Because, yeah, with Edmonton finally scoring a power play goal. It's now 1 for 12. Like I said, lucky 13. Right. Called it. Plus, it was a 5-on-3. Granted, Edmonton had a 5-on-3 opportunity, I believe, in Game 3. And didn't capitalize, so. Anyway, at that point, yeah, it's 6-1, and now we're going to the third period. And this is the point where I'm like, if I didn't have to record this video right here, right now, I probably would have stopped watching the game and gone and done something else. And I'm a hockey fan, but it's like, this game is over. And it's not like the case where Florida was up 6-1. Then I'd watch the rest of the game to watch the Stanley Cup be awarded and all that junk. Not fun. At this point, I'm like, this game's over. I know Edmonton won. Like, Florida ain't coming back. They're starting the third period. They're down by 5 goals. That's to tie it. It's not going to happen. You could shorten Edmonton's bench. Get rid of their top 6 forwards. It doesn't matter. Anyway. Let's talk about the third period anyway. I kind of missed a little bit of third. I didn't miss it. I heard it. I was just around the office working on other stuff. Cleaning, prep, other things that are consuming my life, but you know. So I don't have a timestamp for Florida's power play there early, like to start the third basically. Nothing came from it, and that's also when I stopped taking notes about the remaining power plays or penalty kills in the third period, because at that point it's 6-1. It doesn't matter. We'll continue to see the numbers get updated next game, so. There were a bunch, though, actually, in the third that I didn't write down. I know that, because I know I was, by this point, I was in the habit, but also I was like, it's 6-1. It doesn't matter. I really didn't. Because with 5 minutes and 49 seconds remaining in the period, so played most of the third with no score change. We do have a goal, though. Fortunately for the Florida fans, that's a goal from Edmonton. Holloway, which I believe was his second of the game. Yes, it was. There's a reason for that, and we'll get to it near the end here when I talk about some stuff. All right. Yep, Holloway scores off McDavid Crosstree's feed, and that assist will break McDavid's tie with Wayne Gretzky for 32 points in a single postseason, moving him to 33 points, or 33 assists. Sorry, I keep saying points, I just have it. I know Gretzky's got more points because the goals side of things changes that. But, so yeah, that makes it 7-1 Edmonton. We're in the third period now. I'm looking at the wrong part of my notes. Anyway, yeah, 7-1. And yeah, that McDavid assist will break his tie with the great one. And yeah, a lot of us growing, I mean, I did see Gretzky play growing up. Not in his prime per se, more so the LA years forward, because he was traded a year after I was born. You do the math. So no, I didn't see him in the prime in Edmonton, but yeah. As a hockey fan, I'm well aware of the, let's just say, countless records that Gretzky holds, many of which will never ever be broken. I don't know if this was one of the ones anyone was ever thinking about, because we're just looking at the assists, not the overall points. Again, they never, even after the record was broken here, and there's only five something minutes left in the game. Granted, it wasn't the score. I mean, the winner was pretty much done at this point. Not like that was going to change. They had time. I just don't know if the statistics got. I don't know. I'm guessing they never brought up where McDavid's at now in terms of like the all-time the points list, not the assists only. Granted, beating Gretzky's assist record for a single postseason is still ridiculously impressive. Don't get me wrong. Not taking anything away from any of that. Congrats to McDavid. That's a crazy accomplishment. Anytime anyone, even ties one of Gretzky's records, it's a big deal. Just like it was a big deal when Gretzky tied, then eclipsed Gordie Howe's goal scoring record. It was a huge deal. No one thought that would ever happen because Gordie Howe scored 801 goals in his career. No one's like, that's never going to happen again, ever. And Gretzky came along and said, hold my stick, and the rest is history. So, Anyway, hockey history. Let's move on. 7. Oh, yeah. That 7-1 stat, too. With that 7th goal. That is the most goals allowed by the Florida Panthers all season, including the regular season. So the 2023-2024 regular season, including the 2024 playoffs. Florida has never allowed 7 goals in a single game. And I'm assuming that's counting, say, 2 empty netters at the end of a game or something, which does happen all the time in box scores. So you can't trust the box scores in the NHL. Always look at watch the recaps. Watch these. That's why I do them. Because box scores lie to you. That's right. Motivated by my vengeance. No, that's not even the right word. Irritation at box scores. There we go. Okay. Anyway, moving along. With 3 minutes, I only sigh because there's still so much to talk about. Oh, we're almost at the end. Because, with 3 minutes and 19 seconds remaining in the third period, clearly we're wrapping things up here. Edmonton scores again from the cloud. It was a broken play kind of thing, where the puck just sort of ended up in in the left circle. Right to the goalie, left on broadcast, whatever. Left circle player. And it's just puck's just sort of sitting there, because again, it's kind of off broken play, took a weird bounce, and puck's just sitting there, no one's around it. So, McLeod just skates up and one-times it, and bam, just goes right in the net. So, it was just one of those nights where Edmonton just put the puck on the net. Hey, it went in. Yay for us. Okay. That 8-8. Take a second now. 8 goals. 8-1, Edmonton. And I'm not done. Third and final page of notes. Which actually doesn't have any scoring notes. More so just sort of some little statistical stuff. Because, there's nothing actually here game note-wise. There's just some follow-up notes I have actually on the final page. Because, it does end up being 8-1 is your final score on that one. So, that 7-goal lead, or 7-goal win, 7-goal advantage, or whatever way you want to phrase it, for Edmonton, ties a record from 1918. That's right, it's over a 100-year-old record. Vancouver Millionaires. In terms of, this is the record for the most goals that were scored in a game by a team facing elimination in the Stanley Cup final. Yeah, you had to go all the way back to 1918. The Vancouver Millionaires. Franchise that no longer exists, has no connection with the Canucks. Just happened to be in Vancouver at the time. So, again, I find historical stuff like that interesting. This has only ever happened once, as far as we know. Yeah, once since there were stats. We're going all the way back to 1918. There weren't many stats back then, but we did count goals and who won or lost. We kept track of that basic stuff. So, yes. And then less than a minute to go in the game, because it's something I was thinking about later in the third period. Something I've been doing for the final is naming my personal MVP for this particular game as opposed to the 3-star system. And I kind of cheated on this one a little bit, because my MVP for Game 4 goes to Chris Knobloch, head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Why does he get the MVP? shaking up the lines. It was heavily reported in pregame and early on, throughout the game, at least early. It's like, hey, if you're just joining us, here's some major news. Well, not major, but news in terms of Edmonton putting their top six forwards a little bit in a blender. Because they had McDavid, Hyman, and Fogle playing their top line, and then it was Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I believe, and then maybe Holloway. Yeah, I believe so. I think those are the top six. Those, again, that was kind of mutable too. Knobloch did the thing that Derek Lalonde has been did all year with the Red Wings, which is like, in the top 9 forward, whatever, just figure out some combination for this game. And that combination would change during the game, too. That was the Red Wings all season, pretty much. We didn't really have set fixed lines. They'd be pretty, or amorphous. But yeah, no, I give Knobloch the MVP for the line mix-up. Because you could, and anyone can make any number of arguments for any number of players. Yeah, McDavid had a 4-point game with 3 goals, or 3 assists and a goal. He was the pick, I believe, for first star. Yeah, he was. With that kind of stat line, sure. To me, he's not really the MVP of this game, though. Because, you started seeing some more familiar names, like McDavid and Draisaitl and someone else. Nurse. I actually mentioned in my notes tonight, and for positive reasons. Not mentioned because it's like, and they didn't do anything again. Well, McDavid's had assists, and so is Draisaitl. Actually, Draisaitl may have gotten his first point of this series in Game 4, I think. I know McDavid had some assists previous games, but yeah. Anyway, 8-1 final. 3-1 series lead now for Florida. Edmonton's trying to crawl their way back into this. We'll see. Game 5 is on Tuesday, June 18th, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Start on that one in Florida, of course. I just have a note here about McDavid being named first star of that line. But I happened, because I named my MVP before they announced the 3 stars. Because I personally, in my own head, I'm like, who do I think deserves the award for, this game, personally? And you know what I noticed when they announced the 3 stars? You know who wasn't on that list? Jeff Skinner, who should have been on that list. Because actually, I don't know if this is true in Game 3. I know Game 1 and 2, there were huge shot discrepancies in terms of the shots on goal. Game 1 was the most funky because Edmonton badly outshot Florida and lost. So. And Game 2, opposite story, where Florida badly outshoots Edmonton in a winning effort. And in Game 3, I don't remember. I think Game 3 was more even. Shot totals were closer. Same as this game. Despite the 8-1 final score, the shot totals, the shots on net that were registered at least, actually pretty close. I believe it was 33-35 in favor. Very close. But no love for Jeff Skinner here. With 32 saves on 33 shots, which is a .970 save percentage. I know they weren't all high quality. Doesn't matter. That's still a ridiculous number. But hey, whatever. No love for Skinner, not even a 3rd star. Maybe if he'd gotten a shutout, but no one cares. But so I know that I'm kind of cheating giving my most valuable player award to the coach, but hey, I think honestly, if Knobloch had not kind of shaken up the forward lines, I don't know if Edmonton wins this game. Because a lot of people are going to look at, McDavid's finally getting going, blah, blah. All the big Edmonton Oilers players are starting to get going. But their depth scoring is what got the team rolling momentum-wise. So Does other players score without those goals? Who knows? That's the Schrodinger's hockey puck. Is it in the net or not? Quantum mechanics joke for you kids. Anyway, we're about 35 minutes. I'll wrap up here. Do want to say though, again, we all know the stats here. However, even in Game 3, when Florida had a decent lead, and I was looking at it like, I made note of it last video, like, the series might be over at this point after a certain goal, and then Florida scored again after that, so like, it's definitely over. In the back of my head, I was thinking, the only way it's even plausible Edmonton to come back, like, they need to come back and respond in that game, which they did, because they took what was a potential blowout in Game 3 and made it a one-goal game by the end of it. They played a great third period, and I'm like, all right, well, you need to carry that momentum and then some into Game 4 and just blow Florida out of the water. Break them both, well, not physically and not encouraging violence, even though it's hockey. It's going to happen. You got to break them, but maybe a little bit physically in terms of just serious hard hits and whatnot, finish checks cleanly, but still. And break them mentally. Mentally really is the mental part there. They may be on that route. Because, again, this game was pretty much over at 4-1, and they added another 4 goals, so they were not letting up. Yeah. For what to this point, generally it's been a fairly defensive series from two teams that are more so known for their offense. Well, I think Florida is probably more known for their defensive play. Edmonton not, but both teams' penalty kills have been exceptional. So, we'll see. I still don't... as much as I really want Edmonton to win, I am kind of rooting for them. I don't see them coming back. But we'll see. I think had we seen the results of Game 4 of a huge Edmonton blowout win, if we had seen that in Game 3, then yeah, there's a good chance that this ends up being a close series. And it still could be. It still could end up going 6 games. But I really don't see Florida losing 4 of these in a row. But stranger things have happened. And still isn't over. There's still like another half series or season to go on Netflix, whatever. Pun. Anyway. We'll see. I'll be back to cover Game 5. Yeah. In this series. And then we'll get one game closer to revealing the mystery of why I'm wearing different jerseys now. You really figure it out at this point. Because I was wearing the same stuff for the previous 3 games and now I'm wearing this. Spot the difference in the games. Anyway, I'm out for now. I will talk to you all later on, probably Wednesday morning. We can talk about Game 5 and whatnot. And I'll see you then. Peace.